Sunday night Royal Rumble, we beat Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. 2 out of 3 falls.
2-0, back to back.
Clean sweep. But it ain't nothing new, because we've been sweeping through this tag division ever since we stepped foot in SmackDown Live. Yeah, true fact. Oh, y'all don't remember, huh?
Oh, no? Well, let's take them down memory lane right quick then, News.
Roll call.
Let's go. American Alpha.
Lock down.
American Alpha 2.
Lock down.
Hype Bros.
Lock down.
Breeze. Dango.
Lock down. New Day. Lock down.
Yo. Even Sheamus and Cesaro. They're not even on SmackDown Live, but we put those 2 chumps behind bars, which means
Lock down. Come on, man. Hey, we've been locking them all down since day 1.
Man, check this out. When we talk about this day 1-ish, we're not talking about t-shirts or trying to sell merch.
No.
We're talking about this lifestyle we represent.
Yeah.
It represents being real.
Yeah.
It represents being true.
Yeah.
It represents being 100.
Yeah.
And it represents being you.
Talk to him, This day 1 represents the struggle. Just remember this, though. Every single struggle you go through, it'll only make you stronger. That's why every night.
Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Back by popular demand. We did the last interview with Punkster via Skype. And I apologize in the background if you hear a dying dog. That's out of my control. I've had a dog named Molly for over 11 years, and unfortunately she's heading down a bad path. But we all deal with it with life, you know. Life is life. I don't get on soapboxes. That's what Big 4 weekends for miserable people are. So I'm glad to to shit and talk some shop with my good brother Adam Daley. You can follow me on Twitter at AdamDaley13. He's here live on the phone. Going throughout the next couple of weeks as the road to 100 episodes continue, I plan to have more guests on it. It's cool that I have a nice setup now here with my mic and my phone that can work well. So you guys can hear Adam well. He's here from Wrestling With, and he used to be my co-host for this particular podcast, and we had a lot of fun recording the podcast last week. I want to give a shout out to each and every single one of you guys who reached out to us and gave us nice words. It's really humbling. It was kind of like we did a show. It's in a way, it's kind of like we didn't stop doing a show together. You know what I mean, Adam?
Yeah, it definitely felt like it was just like it was pretty streamlined with everything else we used to do, and it's just we picked up where we left off. And I told you I want to make a point here to let everybody that's listening to this know. Last week you asked me to be on, but I definitely asked to be on this week just because I felt there was some things that we could discuss in a different manner than maybe some other outlets would. But it was just one of those. I thought it was a really good weekend for wrestling, so I just kind of focused on the bookend of the Royal Rumble weekend. So.
Yeah, but
thank you, Josh. Thank you for having me back on.
Oh, no problem. You know damn well you're able to come on here anytime you want. And the cool thing with our show, guys, is that we don't hold anything back. But we're not one of those guys that's gonna make you feel bad about being a wrestling fan either. At the same time, I think that's always been one of our objectives with doing this stuff over the last few years. We just do this to have fun. It's that simple. This is an escape for us because we deal with a lot of crap, especially the State of the Union that we saw the other night, which we don't need to get into at this prior moment. It's just a lot of.
I didn't know that women are still having babies at 9 months, and that's got to stop.
Yeah, and 90% of my 90% of my high school graduating class already has kids, so there's a.
I hope everybody enjoyed the humor, and if you missed that, guys, please. We knocked Bush for some great quotes that he had.
Yes.
One day fish and humans will coexist. He had some great ones, but women are still having babies at 9 months, and that's a problem. That's up there.
Yeah.
That is in a new stratosphere of, is this real life?
You know, that's a good question. I want to transition into this because this leads right into the Rumble. And especially with sexism and misogynist and all the other stuff that comes with just all the ridiculousness that comes from like politics and talking heads, whether it's from the political world or wrestling world. This past Sunday at the Royal Rumble, we had the very first ever women's Royal Rumble match in Philly. I want to throw this out there, and I talked about this earlier in the podcast. I've had my fill of Philadelphia. I don't like the city. I adapted the hashtag Philly is trash. Shout out to Second City Sam for that. I really appreciate it, brother. It is trash. You can worry about throwing beach balls during the John Cena Finn Balor match, but I just can't stand Philly. I never will. Okay, congratulations. You made a good steak sandwich. Awesome. That's just tremendous. But with the Rumble and Takeover, and every Takeover is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then I just can't stand Philly. I hope you guys understand that as you listen to this podcast. I cannot stand Philly, so there's that. But we had a lot of fun on this pay-per-view, regardless of a Philly crowd in that dump of arena. We had the first.
If I could, to
go ahead.
Philly, and when I say defend, I mean I guess in a way, you know, I talked last week about how it's comical to me when Pittsburgh Steelers fans are so, we're rivals with the Patriots, and Patriots fans are like, oh, that's cute, with Pittsburgh, like, hell yeah, okay. You know, I guess maybe it's because, like, living in Pennsylvania and predominantly on, you know, most of my life in the Pittsburgh area, we've always looked at Philly as just like our cute little brother that just could never get the job done. So that's why you always kind of pull for him. You know, I mean, we look at Cleveland and it's like, man, it's not the mistake by the lake anymore. It's like, come on, you guys can do it. Like, we're pulling for you. And, you know,
right.
That's why, like, the good guy in me is kind of, you know, is always, like, on the Philly side. But realistically, I'm pulling for New England on Sunday. But, you know, it'd be cute if the little brothers I mean, if they need one eventually, right?
Yeah.
I guess.
Right.
I don't know. Or that's just called karma. I mean, I don't know.
So,
they go Rocky. Rocky's real.
Rocky is real, yes. Unfortunately, there is another person that's real, and his name is Disco Inferno, and I was bringing up the Women's Rumble for a reason. And I had a feeling this was going to happen. I stayed off of Twitter, by the way, for the majority of that pay-per-view. I did say how awesome the men's Rumble match was, because it really was, and I feel I wanted to get that out there. But when I'm covering shows live, I'm like such in a tunnel vision mode where like I like zone a lot of things out. Even when I like go to my Uncle Jeremy's house to watch a pay-per-view, sometimes I zone him out. So I just pay attention to the article and make sure I get everything right. So I'm doing the same thing Sunday. I'm enjoying the show, just like hopefully everybody else was watching at home. The women got the opportunity to main event and close out the show. And Asuka is your first ever women's Royal Rumble winner. I enjoyed the match. I liked the run-ins. Even Molly Holly was really nice for me because she was part of my childhood during the Ruthless Aggression era. And I thought Trish did well, Lita as well. The pots they got were well-deserved and very happy for them. I also thought Jacqueline even did pretty well for herself, too, even when she went to the Hall of Fame last year. So I loved the match for what it was. It was fun. It was entertaining. I thought Stephanie did a good job on commentary. Even though I felt a couple times that she was about to have a wardrobe malfunction, but on her way to the ring. By the way, the best part of commentary throughout that whole pay-per-view was Corey Graves bearing Sasha Banks for the majority of that match. Just every one-liner just hit the nail on the head. Like he understands like fans like me who are like indifferent to the Sasha character and what it stands for and her Butthurt Brigade fans. Like I loved it. I was crying laughing when anytime he brought up Sasha. I thought it was tremendous. But even the Bellas, you know, it's funny. Like you're in Philly and yeah, you're in a smart town, but even the Bell twins got pops too, which kind of surprised me. And then obviously it came down to Asuka and Nikki Bella, which I'm sure Sam loved. We had two different colliding forces. You had Asuka, and then you got Nikki. We talked about this last week. Adam's daughter AJ is a big Asuka fan. She wanted Asuka to win, and then we all know, for those that have been keeping up with shows with me and Adam and Sam over the years, Sam hates Nikki Bella. So talk about drama and just like knock this you know what out. It's just really cool how the Rumble match played out for the women, and then obviously before Asuka could decide who she wanted to face at WrestleMania, out comes Ronda Rousey. Had this new news on ESPN that she signed a full-time contract with the WWE, making a big deal. People were talking about it the next day, and it wasn't this is the start of the Super Bowl week. No, everybody was talking about Ronda Rousey the next day, and that's what people don't realize. And you have a guy like Disco Inferno gets out of soapbox. He's like, "Oh, she lost 2 fights. She's not going to be a draw. Who's going to care? Oh, yeah, you lost 2 fights, so now you're going to join fake fighting." A guy who was in the business and put so much stock into what he did in his jobber character in WCW, he sure loves bringing up the fact that wrestling is involved with fake fighting. Like. Like, you're sending mixed messages, bro.
He was the Zohan. He was the Zohan before there was a Zohan, right?
Right.
That's all his character was in WCW. He was Disco. That was it, right? We didn't know that he was a spy. That's the only difference between him and the Zohan.
Don't mess with the Zohan. Well, in this case, I could mess with the Zohan because this Zohan has no balls. So I'll throw that out there. I've had it up to here, to be honest with you, with just like the indirect shots towards women. Like, even during the match, you're like, "Oh, couldn't you lower the ropes so the women could get out of the ring better, like the men?" And just like you see it all the time during shows. It's like, "Oh, we want more puppies. There's not enough sex appeal in the women's division, or this and that. Oh, who's the next woman gonna be on Playboy?" And like, I enjoy wrestling. I enjoy technical wrestling. I enjoy all different styles of wrestling. I enjoy women's wrestling. Hell, I even went to a couple of Shimmer shows here in Chicago. I like women's wrestling. I respect what these females do as a performer. And for anybody to feel like what Ronda Rousey did is stealing the spotlight from the women's division, I don't know what to tell you, because for her to want to join the division, it's validation to what they've been doing over the last couple of years, in my opinion. Did Stone Cold Steve Austin felt that he was being held back and having the spotlight taken from him when Mike Tyson showed up before WrestleMania 14? Like, let's be real, folks. To anybody to not think that Ronda Rousey being in WWE is not good for the further developments for that division, you're just hate watching at this point. And it's a good term because it's true. In society today, we hate watch. We hate watch things that we can't stand, so we have more reasons to live tweet it and vent about it as it goes on. Hey, it's part of real life. I'm just keeping it 100 right there. We hate watch. So a lot of people were hating on Ronda Rousey before she left the UFC. So, like the mob mentality that we were talking about last week. Oh, here we go. She's in WWE? Yeah, let's trash it. Yeah, this is horrible. All she does is play with the sign. She's not going to draw. She's not going to do this. Oh, Sasha should have won. She should have got the spotlight. Oh, Asuka was held back. When I say, do you listen to the words that come in your mouth and the way you're saying it? I say that for a reason, because a lot of times when you listen to these podcasts, it sounds like a six-year-old crying for the fact that you're going to one place, but you wanted to go somewhere else. Like, it's ridiculous.
Well, it's and same as last week. I'm going to just bring up my daughter's reaction, I asked her, like, hey, you're this big Asuka fan. Do you think that, are you upset that Ronda Rousey came in at the end and kind of stole her spotlight? And she said, what do you mean she stole her spotlight? She didn't steal anybody's spotlight. And I think that's just, again, we get so caught up as fans with defending this superstars that we love, we forget that it's a business first. And we forget that the entertainers that are in that ring are businessmen and women that are portraying characters to tug on our emotions. There's a couple things that I told you I wanted to talk about, Josh. Is number one, people wanted equal treatment in the men's and women's divisions. You got it. Here it is. This is what you're looking at with equality, ladies and gentlemen, because without Ronda Rousey, I could make an argument that we don't see the women's revolution in WWE. WWE is very copycat. Wrestling is very copycat when compared to other combat sports, and vice versa.
Yeah.
We saw somebody tap someone out in MMA with the walls of Jericho like a couple months ago or something, But my point is that Vince McMahon and WWE probably don't accelerate this women's revolution, or even consider this women's revolution if Ronda Rousey wasn't main eventing UFC pay-per-views.
Right.
So we do have to kind of take that into consideration, guys. That she might not have paid her dues in WWE yet. However, she did pay her dues and is a bigger name. And the thing that we also have to think about, we as wrestling fans, yes, these men and women, and we're talking about the women right now, so these women, they're the biggest names that we could possibly think of. But I challenge you to just go up to any random person and say, hey, and pull any woman's name out of the women's division. Unless they watch Total Divas, chances are they are not going to know who you're talking about.
Right.
To no fault of their own. If the women's division isn't there yet, they need that name. They need that major crossover name. WrestleMania 1 needed Mr. T, and which is a ridiculous thing to even think.
Yeah.
That they needed Mr. T, but it brought that crossover appeal. The A-Team was big at that time. Think of the target audience. Right now, if you want to validate a women's division, you bring in, arguably the most dominant women's athlete in history. Some people might not like that, but if you go into those same houses that I just spoke about and ask them, hey, do you know who Ronda Rousey is? They're going to say, oh yeah, I've heard of her. And we can, love it, hate it, debate it, however we want to spin it. But at the end of the day, if it were your business, there was not a better way that they could have wrote the end to this pay-per-view. The women in main event, the women's Rumble main event, check. That should have happened. Sam and I talked about it, I think, on our last show that it did. We're hoping that's what happened. Boom,
right.
Bang, done. Mm-hmm. So you get that out of the way. Everyone's concern was, Rousey coming in and winning the first one. You don't have her win. You have Asuka win. You please the fans. My daughter's going crazy. It's, everybody's happy, right?
Yeah.
But then you still bring in Rousey for that crossover effect and the fans that want her. And notice, though, and this is where for people who are saying it's bad business, it's instant polarization. Instant. It's not even like a we'll see. There's instant polarization. It's either you love it or hate it. There's really nobody on the fence right now, which is interesting. Because it really should be, okay, let's see where they're going. But everybody is instantly taking a stand on this. So WWE has proven that they have a valuable commodity.
Right.
So people can talk about what they can talk themselves in circles as much as they want to validate their own personal feelings. But if you were running that business, they basically... They protected themselves in so many different ways so that the first Rumble wasn't ruined, that Ronda Rousey came in and won it. Well, okay, don't worry about it. Asuka got it, so shut your mouth. But we still brought in Ronda Rousey, surprised that Philly crowd. They're going to sell merch like crazy. They were on every major media outlet, and that matters, guys. That matters. Josh, you know this. That going into WrestleMania season, that matters more. And what I'm glad that you touched upon this, it's Super Bowl week. People were talking about Ronda Rousey in WWE, and Josh, correct me if I'm wrong here, brother, but isn't Vince starting I heard something about a side project or something about sports. The best way to show, devalue an organization maybe is kind of break news that takes over, and you break the internet with your side company and show that maybe the NFL isn't as strong as people, and that's not my opinion, but for the outsider looking in, especially people that are anti-NFL right now, Absolutely, that's what that looks like. WWE is dominating the NFL, so why won't the XFL work? And so I hope everybody sees the business pattern here, guys. And it's meticulous, it's methodical, it was brilliant. The men's match was awesome too. I just think, Josh, that everybody, and absolutely, we all wanted equal. When it comes to equality, we wanted that. And now here comes the equal storylines. Here comes the quality storyline-wise. So we're going to get those big names coming in, like we did with Brock Lesnar, like we did in the past with Lawrence Taylor, who main evented SummerSlam Wrestling. It was WrestleMania. Lawrence Taylor main evented, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Jesus.
WrestleMania 11.
But my last real point on this is, listen, I love Asuka. I love Asuka. But let's keep it 100. If you're not in the wrestling bubble and you kind of are just tuning into the Rumble for the first time in a long time, Asuka kind of looks like a candy kid at a rave. You know what I mean? Like Naomi looks like she is the dancer or the DJ at the rave, but Asuka looks like the candy kid in the corner.
Right.
But, and especially next to Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, who were in business suits, they were dressed up with their titles, But did you notice that the emphasis wasn't put on an interaction between Charlotte and Ronda Rousey, or even Alexa Bliss and Ronda Rousey? The interaction was between Asuka and Ronda Rousey. And for anybody, if anything, that elevated Asuka's stock to the casual fan, because now I want to know more. She just ran through, she ran through the Rumble, came into 25, whatever. She ran through the Rumble, won it, came out, Rousey went to her. We want these questions. And instead of people looking at it from, they want to look at it steadfast, well, she shouldn't have been there, or, because maybe they're not fans of hers. And listen, there's people that we're not fans of. But if it's going to bring that product money, it brings that product money. And I guarantee you that the women in that locker room understand that Ronda Rousey being in that locker room brings them more money too. I'm not going to, Josh, I would understand the frustration, being in that locker room, but it's, as CM Punk fans, what did we hear when The Rock came back? Well, listen, you got to do where the money's at. You got to do where the money's at. Well, you know what? Now that the shoe's on the other foot, and now that people don't like who they're bringing in, you know what I mean? We shouldn't be doing that. It's disrespectful. It's the same scenario. It's just men's division, women's division. That's it. Business is business. Mm-hmm. And in the end, I can look back in hindsight and admit that, whatever they were doing, The Rock is he's a household name. He should be in the main event over CM Punk at that time. And we can argue, back and forth how they could have positioned Punk better, with interviews and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if you're explaining it to shareholders, what are you going to say? We're hoping Asuka gets us on ESPN. Or are you going to tell your shareholders, we knew Ronda Rousey would get us on ESPN, CNN, Fox News, Fox Sports. But you know what I mean? We could go through 80 million media outlets to cover this, and it was all because of Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, so, not only that, but look at this. Even when Ronda was in UFC, and look, guys, I'm not a UFC mark or not anything like that. If any time I ever watched UFC, it was from highlights from Sports Center or whatever. Even through the point where she was in her MMA career, you didn't know any of those other female fighters without her. Right. The analogy you just made about, we may want to have Alexa or Asuka on ESPN. You didn't know who Holly Holm was. You didn't know who Miesha Tate was. She brought stock not only in UFC, but to what your point here with WWE, that's even elevating for someone like a Nia Jax or anybody else that's complained about her. To rub elbows with that type of performer that has that mainstream exposure is only helping you because, here's the whole how you say this, the hard-hitting truth about the wrestling business, and you know this as well as I do because we have friends who are in the business and have done this for a living. It's all about what you can do to get asses in the seats. At the end of the day, That's it. Whether it's done in the right way or the wrong way, the manipulation, the politics, all the BS that comes with it. The ultimate objective goal for a wrestling company is to get asses and seats and draw money. That's it.
And not only that, I kind of couldn't remember whatever award show was on the other night, but the Grammys were on the other night, And again, that's something else that the Grammys are on. They're going through, especially with the women's movement that's going on in entertainment and in the world really right now. The Grammys was a very big political stance, love it or hate it.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking sides on that either. That's not my voice to speak right now.
Yeah.
But again, Ronda Rousey comes out. Look at Twitter. Look at WWE stocks the next day. I'm not saying it that it depends. This is where viewpoint comes in, Josh, and this is what I think. This is where I think that it ultimately there needs to be more kind of like stepping back and analyzing things from different lenses, because we could look at it one or two ways. WWE stock, from what I was doing research, and maybe I missed something, but it looked like it hit an all-time high on Monday. Listen, we could, but it's been coming up. But we could absolutely say that that's because of Ronda Rousey. Right, same thing with the stock market. People want to say it's just because of Trump, right?
Right.
Or is it, even though it's been trending up for years? So you see how we could manipulate facts and figures however we want to.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Ronda Rousey does mean money for these men and women. If you're talking about a women's match potentially co-main eventing WrestleMania, and this isn't like it was a couple years ago where it was Becky Lynch, Sasha, and Charlotte. Having Ronda Rousey ups it to a totally next level. It does get viewers in.
Right.
How many of us, Josh, watch UFC for a crossover when it was Brock Lesnar or CM Punk, just to see them win or lose? Honestly, it was either a love or hate watch, and it was. You're right. We love or hate watch. Well, don't you think there's going to be some people that are going to do the same with Rousey?
They're already doing it. Hell, there's 200 wrestling podcasts that are going to love or hate talk about Ronda Rousey this week. It's that simple.
And you know what? It's weird, Jay, because here's my thing, man. Everyone, and I think the criticisms are fair. Absolutely. I'm not criticizing anybody for having an opinion. I'm criticizing people for sounding like broken records and basically just everybody's opinion seems to be the same. And it's not, there's no real validation.
There's no substance to it.
You don't know the money behind it. That's my only thing. And I'm not saying I do either. But I'd be willing to bet if they threw facts in front of us and they threw projections and they threw projected merchandise sales and projected this sales, Josh, you and I would probably it's a safer bet, I would say, with Ronda Rousey than without.
Right.
Business, period.
I got a question for you. We heard the announcement on Monday of the Women's Elimination Chamber match. We have the Chamber pay-per-view taking place in Las Vegas. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's probably the next time we probably see Ronda Rousey there. Obviously, a big UFC market in Las Vegas. That'll be the Raw exclusive pay-per-view, the Elimination Chamber. I think it's February 25th. So we got some time before the next Raw pay-per-view. But just in general, what are your thoughts on the Elimination Chamber for the women? Do you like it? What's your thoughts?
I like it. The one thing that I don't like, because I feel like this is one of the most unintentionally tongue-in-cheek, male chauvinistic things that people can say, is I hate when a man says, I just don't like this idea for the match because, women are just smaller and I worry about them. Like, wow. Wow. Really? I'd love to see you say that to somebody like a Ronda Rousey or a Charlotte Flair. You know what I mean? Or a Becky Lynch or any of these women that are in that ring. But here, I love the idea. And I know we don't like the fantasy book, but there's, we were talking about WrestleMania, what we would like to see. And this isn't going to happen, guys. I'm not, but this is what I would ultimately like to see out of the women's division. Now that we kind of have some pieces like in motion. Josh, wouldn't it be interesting if Rousey went in and, because the Elimination Chamber match is going to be for the title, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so say she wins the title off of Alexa Bliss. Everybody gets angry.
Yep.
Real mad, right? Including Alexa Bliss, probably. So wouldn't that be a fantastic storyline for maybe, I don't know, her and Stephanie McMahon at WrestleMania?
Right.
I think there'd be something behind that. And then think about the way that everyone was really mad about how Ronda Rousey came in and kind of took over the end of the Royal Rumble. Then you have now Asuka versus Rousey at WrestleMania. Kind of pops a little bit, don't it?
Yeah.
I ultimately still think that we're going to see Flair versus Rousey, although I could be totally wrong on this. I don't know. Who the hell knows? But I don't know. Just fantasy booking-wise, to me, it would be really cool. Just from what I would like to see kind of standpoint.
I just think it'd be a nice visual of her coming in and, like, taking somebody out before they get into one of those chamber pods. You know what I mean?
It would be something that it's just that next step of, listen, the women are here to stay. This isn't a flash in the pan thing. This isn't something that, because there's a lot of people out there that I think want to see this revolution fail. And I don't know why. I don't agree with it, but you can feel it sometimes. You can feel that people want other people to fail. I don't know. Failures want to see failure.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
But it's women's wrestling is here to stay, and it's only going to keep getting better. And this is something Sam and I talked about, like when we were kind of like finishing up, wrestling with. But right now, I've been more tied into the women's storylines because everything is new, everything is fresh, because it's the first time kind of for everything. Anytime we cut and slice and dice some of the men's storylines, we've maybe seen it before, or to some degree or whatever, but everything kind of seems fresh with the women's division, no matter how much we love it or hate it. And that's a good thing because they're really, we're becoming even more passionate about it. People are going this crazy over Ronda Rousey that we've totally forgotten the business side because our fan side has taken over. That's a good thing. And that's a really good thing for what this movement started, where it is, and for the future.
We talked about the Women's Rumble match, and they got to close out the show, and a lot of women got a lot of spotlight. I really enjoyed the stare down with Beth Phoenix and Nia Jax. I thought that was pretty cool. And some other cool moments throughout the match, but little transition to other parts of the show. One of the cool parts about when we were doing the show together is that we had the opportunity to kind of break down the elements of a gray area character in wrestling. And we were kind of one of the few that embraced that, because there was a lot of old school fans that's like, oh, just need to be strictly babyface and heel. Now, for somebody like me, who's a fan of The Punisher and Deadpool and Batman, I kind of lean towards more the anti-hero, the shades of gray character. And there doesn't get any more shades of gray in professional wrestling right now than Roman Reigns, and it's not even close. And you look at where this guy's gone through from starting off with the Shield and getting the opportunities to main event WrestleMania, and the improvements, more importantly, from an in-ring standpoint. Like, I don't remember the last bad Roman Reigns match, and for a guy who's supposedly coddled and gets everything handed to him, this dude is putting on pay-per-view style matches on weekly television. Like, think about this. If you put this on paper 3 years ago, right? Roman Reigns against The Miz, right? People would tell you, oh, that's filler. That doesn't do anything for me. But hey, they're putting stock to the Intercontinental Championship, right? Roman Reigns and Miz are having killer matches like they did in Raw 25, like they did this past Monday on Raw. And you look at just like the narratives that keep running around with this guy, and that this guy gets handed everything, and he's John Cena 2.0, man. Hey, man, if he's John Cena 2.0, where's all John Cena's losses? during that era, right? Like, let's break this down for real. He didn't win the Rumble last year. He didn't win the Rumble this year. He got pinned at SummerSlam. He lost the rivalry to Braun Strowman. He lost to The Miz 2 weeks in a row. And this guy is unstoppable. He wins all the time. He's this, he's that. Roman Reigns is in the position right now that, hey, let the cash, let that money come in. Yes, sir. This dude gets better in spite of everybody, and it's hilarious. It's tremendous, and I do notice some differences with the crowd reaction towards him, because I think more people are like in my position where we're kind of tired of the booing, because it's coming from just pure jealousy at this point, because you can't admit the fact that a homegrown WWE talent is putting in the work in the ring like an indie worker. I love the indie guys. This is not my point here. My point is that no matter how hardcore of wrestling fans we think we are, we don't give the homegrown WWE talent the credit they deserve. Case in point, Jinder Mahal. There's so many homegrown WWE talents that gets either underutilized or underappreciated because of this era we live in, like Sheamus. Like, I feel like The Bar has been one of the best tag teams in wrestling in the last 5 years. Sheamus doesn't get the credit he deserves. Did he have some cheesiness to him during his runs to babyface? Sure, that's fine. You have your valid criticisms, I'm fine with that. But back to Roman Reigns, he didn't win the Rumble. He lost to Nakamura. I love the men's Royal Rumble match. I just thought all the little plot points during the Rumble match was cool, where like Heath Slater's getting beat up every time somebody came down to the ring. And then you had Baron Corbin lost his mind when he got eliminated. That was really cool. And he just gives everybody the ends of days. And then Elias comes out and he just starts playing the guitar for a couple minutes. And then we even had some NXT surprises like Almas and Adam Cole, which were cool. The Hurricane, that was another nice spot for me from my childhood. I love the Hurricane. If you ever hear Shane Helms on Conan's podcast, it's hilarious. I love Shane Helms. And then you had Rey Mysterio, which I was very happy for Rey because, rewatching and covering that Rumble in Pittsburgh again a few weeks ago when I did a Wrestling Rewind article, I just felt really bad for him with that coming out with 30 and he's getting booed out of the building and everything. And this guy is a legend in wrestling. Rey Mysterio changed a lot of what comes with today's wrestling. And I was very happy for him to get that surprise. And then we had that nice little, cool little stare down where we had the new guard with Reigns, Balor, and Nakamura against Orton, Mysterio, and Cena. I thought that was really cool. And just every aspect of it, like, you couldn't even write it even if you wanted to. Everybody got what they wanted. Nakamura won the Rumble match. The drama was into it. You wanted to see somebody win, and you had somebody else you did want to see win. And I just thought from top to bottom, the men's Rumble was off the charts. Both Rumble matches were good. This is not something like, oh, the men were just unbelievable. I even saw a tweet that night like, oh, good luck to the women topping this. Like, are you freaking serious? That's not what the night was about, you freaking Nimrod. So I enjoyed the men's Rumble match, but it goes back to this point earlier about Roman Reigns. Like, yeah, he's really John Cena 2.0. This brother does a lot of jobs.
Well, real quick, before I start talking about Reigns, we started laughing when Mysterio came out. I think 27 is when he came out. And Sam and I were just kind of cracking up. We're like, his one stipulation was probably like, listen, whatever you guys do, just don't put me at number 30.
Right.
Like, anything, cool, I'll do it. Just not 30, whatever you do. Josh, I think that at this point with Reigns, it's to the point that if you're still booing him, it's almost like the Tom Brady effect. If you're still booing him like this loudly, you're a fan. You just don't want to admit it to yourself. I think there's a lot of that goes around, and I say that because you can't, and I say it all the time, talent that isn't good, quote unquote, they end up getting fizzled out and they fade away because people don't talk about them. People aren't, it's not this angry mob of whatever. The fact is, the cat's good. Now here's the thing. I don't know, Josh, like you tell me, maybe he's positioned higher on the card because as fans, we spend or at least inside the internet bubble, we've spent so much time booing him, it's risen his stock, so that not only when he's the children's superhero character anyway, and what superhero basically doesn't get the shit kicked out of him the entire time until the main two battles? And so he wins at WrestleMania every year. Not even every year, but I mean, so he wins like a couple big Manias and a couple big whatever. And Batman wins like one battle every other movie. You know what I mean? And everything else is by accident. He's like, oh, that's kind of work. It's just, I think we dive in so much because we want it to be real so bad, because we see it as simulated combat. Because that's absolutely what it is. It's a live action comic book. It's simulated combat sport. But knowing this, we have to understand that it's a business story. And anytime they release these business reports, and I don't know what they consistently are. I just every once in a while I'll come across one. But like I said, Reigns was number 2 in merch sales. How can you argue that? I mean, how can anybody argue if it's it's for the kids? Okay. Mm-hmm. I saw this the 2018 Royal Rumble turned my daughter from wrestling fan into a wrestling fanatic. I mean, this night was like changed her life. To see all these women of the past that she's only heard about, or that some of my old action figures that I had from when I was a kid, and or in my college years that I collected, that she now has, and so she saw a lot of these women come back in this women's Royal Rumble. And I'll get back to the men's thing in a second, but it reminded me of how overly critical we are for no reason. Like Josh, you hit the nail on the head. We got a fan favorite. And when I say fan favorite, especially an IWC favorite winning the men's Royal Rumble. We have an IWC favorite winning the women's Royal Rumble. 2 Japanese superstars, by the way. And we have a mega star come in at the tail end. And we still find a reason to complain. This is where I fear that, Josh, this is one of the things I was saying to you that I wanted to talk about. And I feel this is a lot of where Roman Reigns ties into this. I feel as though, and I fear that a lot of fans out there are still in love with either a style of wrestling or an era of wrestling that isn't there or they're never going to get again because they can't accept that WWE is something different than what it used to be. And as fans, we don't necessarily always have to evolve with the company, which it's an open market, it's free market. You can choose not to watch the product. But I feel like a lot of people have FOMO. Everybody got FOMO, man, because you don't want to be the one. You don't want to be the one that's like, you know what? Fine, yeah, I'm over it. You know what? I outgrew wrestling because that's the thing. A lot of people I think that are still watching just won't admit to themselves that they've outgrown it. It's not for them anymore. Yeah. They just won't admit it because we all look for those simpler times, right? We all look for what makes us happy, but we forget that those things evolve. It always goes back to think of when people talk about a certain band. I liked their first album, but I didn't like anything after that. Well, music evolves, and if you didn't want to mature with that band, then you're not going to connect with their music. The same thing goes with professional wrestling. It's an art form. It evolves over time. It's a lot of the things that I don't like. Listen, I don't like on SmackDown how there's all these graphics coming at me all over the place. Like, what am I? Am I playing a video game or am I watching SmackDown? Right? But at the same time, I'm damn near 40 years old. Yeah. I haven't watched that episode yet with my daughter. That might be cool to her. And that's where I see the opposite end of, okay, I understand both sides of the argument, but we have to understand, guys, that at the end of the day, they're going to cater to children more than they're going to cater to the IWC, because with the IWC, this is the fact that nobody likes, Josh. They're going to keep shelling out money no matter what. You're still paying for the network. You're still buying T-shirts. Yep. You're still going to events. You're still doing you're still basically indentured servants during their shows
What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? Do it now. I guess that's where I'm at. And where I think that it's a problem, where it becomes problematic, and where I fear for where it comes in on a society level, is when you have somebody that's angry about something, and instead of just turning the other cheek and kind of growing up and realizing, well, you know what, it's not them, it's me.
Yeah.
But if people still want to have fun, I'll let them have fun with it. People would prefer to drag other people down with them now, because misery loves company, and everybody wants their opinion everyone feels that their opinion needs to be validated. So that's why social media, in my opinion, is become such a toxic place. It's not about fun anymore. It's about, I'm miserable, I need to find other miserable people so we can be miserable together. And when you're miserable and you go into the show miserable, you're going to miss all the great nuances. Like, the one thing I think that got lost on a lot of people, Josh, was how wonderful it was to see every woman that was in that match, in the Royal Rumble match, past and present, deserved to be in that match.
Yes.
And it was everybody from NXT to Hall of Famers. That was a watershed moment for women right there, man. That's huge. And it was all women that deserved to be there. In the men's Rumble match, I thought it was a fix. We complain every year as fans. It sucked. It wasn't booked right. They kind of got all the campiness out of the way at the beginning, went star heavy in the end, and we still complain. There was a Final Four for the first time in I don't know how many years where I was like, I am okay with any of these dudes.
Right.
And we still complain. And I do. I think that it is, everybody takes their own personal confliction, they turn it into anger, and they try to form an angry mob of revolt. And it's all because, to your point about Roman Reigns, it's because we can't see that he is the John Cena or the Hulk Hogan or you have to take the attitude era out of it. The TV-14 era has to be taken out, and because that was the exception to the rule.
Yeah, as an outlier.
Yes, that doesn't always work. It only if you're a betting person, you're not going to bet on the outlier all the time. We can say this because, like a lot of the people that are on podcasts or on the internet or whatever, it sounds great in theory because we don't have any stake in the game. We have no skin in the game. You know what I mean? If we had skin in the game, we would look at this and think much differently.
Right. Exactly. And here's the last thing I'll say about this, and it goes back a little full circle. We were talking about at the beginning of the show. It's hate watch. With the society in general, it's just hate watch, and it's sad to a point where a lot of the outside factors of our life kind of clout what's supposed to be fun about the other aspects of life, I guess. Like, because you're stressed out at your work, right? And you bring that to something that's supposed to be an escape. You have a connection with your daughter with wrestling. You're a wrestling fan still, and you have fun watching it. Are there aspects that don't cater to the things that you had as a kid these days? Probably not, but you still enjoy it. you get to see the journeys of these different performers, and I'm in a different position. Like I don't have any kids, but like I started watching wrestling in '98. And I was like 5, and like I started watching the Attitude Era and through all these different progressions and all the changes and all the sad deaths and the Benoit thing, and there's a lot of crazy stuff that's happened since I started watching wrestling, and I've had people tell me that I should stop wrestling and I should focus on other things and this is that, but we like what we like. I'm not going to begrudge you for enjoying Game of Thrones. I'm not going to begrudge you for being a mark for Breaking Bad. I don't care. Those shows, I don't like those shows. They're not for me, but I'm not going to go on my way to make you feel bad about you watching that show. And it's hate watch. Like, I've been keeping this mood this entire week. Like, I'm at the point where I could care less whether or not I watch the Super Bowl this weekend. Okay, like I told you this last week. I'm indifferent to the Patriots. I don't care for Philly. So instead of going on a soapbox about it the entire week, I'm just going to be indifferent to it. If I watch the game, fine. If not, it is what it is. But, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like I said too, Joe, last week, I think we tied in with something that, you know, we're creatures of habit. You know, I mean, and whether we, you know, would like to think differently or not, humans aren't that far off from animals, right? I mean, we're obviously much more advanced, but we're still creatures of habit,
right?
And we function better when in a routine. And I do think, you know, for a lot of people, it is a routine of, well, this is what I do on a Monday night, or this is what I do on a Tuesday night, or there's the pay-per-view, and it's, you know, they're in that routine of it, and it's almost they can't break it. You know, or maybe it's, you know, you constantly watch, and, you know, I look at it as, you know, I still watched my Raiders through all the bad years, and I'm not going to say that I liked those years, but I also didn't sit at home and pretend to be an armchair quarterback and an NFL coach either, because those are things that I am most certainly not, you know. I think that I don't think there's anything wrong with criticisms. I think people just get way too crazy with the criticism that if you're that angry with it, it really is. Like you said, you're hate watching just to drag the product down or whatever the case may be. I don't think that you know. And again, because I think there are good criticisms out there, and there's people that have really good points. And like, I want to give a shout out to my man Laz, because Laz is a dude that doesn't watch like WWE anymore. But he had his, like, me and him talked one day, and like it wasn't like we were like, oh, we yelling at each other. It was just dude to dude talking, and he was like, listen, this is why I don't watch it anymore, blah blah blah. He had his reasons, and it was like, dude, I can't really agree with any of that. But it wasn't like he wasn't angry about it, dude. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he was like, oh, fuck WWE, I don't want to watch. It was just like, dude, it's just not for me. You know, I'd rather watch this or this. It's just, you know, I think I outgrew the product. That is how you handle it. That's how a man handles things. You know what I mean? Not all these little bratty kids that are going on Twitter. This isn't how it should be booked. Oh, you're hurting their career. Like, you have no idea what they have planned. You know, everybody keeps whining about Sasha Banks. What if she wrestles Trish Stratus at WrestleMania? That's a pretty big match, ain't it?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you got, and we talked about this in the past. This is a tip I'll give to everybody that's listening to this podcast this week. Pick the right hill to die on. Not just in wrestling, in life. Because this relates to relationships. This relates to how you interact with your other family members. I'm a person that kind of tries to go on my way to make sure that I avoid conflict, because a lot of conflict comes from stupid circumstances and things that should be overblown. Do what you have to do, and if this issue is that important to you that it's your hill to die on, go ahead, be your guest. Like you said, if you have a reasonable reason to complain and to be upset, okay, I understand where you're coming from. But if it's something that I can point out where it's just like you're being ridiculous at this point, like you're not helping yourself, you're not growing as a person. You have to pick the right hills to die on.
And then it puts people in within the defensive manner like right away, because like shout out to my boy Will Thompson. He got me good on Twitter yesterday. So I just put something out about the Rousey situation. Right. And he kind of jabbed me, and like I didn't get the joke. And it was Jericho joke talking about it. And he was like, no, dude, no, joke. And I was like, oh, damn it, dude, you got me, and that's the kind of stuff. Like, listen, the reason why I love that dude is that me and him can disagree all day long on things, but he knows how to talk to people. You know what I mean? So it's like I love talking difference of opinion. That's the only way as humans we can not only grow, understand, and compromise. The problem is that most people don't know how to speak anymore. Yeah. Because they're so used to speaking in text form. You know what I mean? And I think that's the unfortunate direction that, that's a problem with society right now too. And nobody kind of wants to hear facts. Nobody wants to see, understand kind of other sides of viewpoints to say, okay, maybe I see that's why things are coming. Nobody wants that compromise. They want to make sure that they stick with their absolution of their own truth, and that's it. It's unhealthy, man. It's not a good way to live, and that's what scares me for my daughter's future. It's just the way that the instant cynicism that everybody has. Instead of looking at all the positives, it was instant cynicisms on Twitter Sunday night. I was kind of like live on Twitter. You know, again, 168 hours in a week, usually about 3 hours per day is what you got. Vince fits into my time. I don't fit into Vince's time. I probably got less than 10,000 days left. It's 27 years. So trust me, I maximize my time. And everybody should know your worth. But you know, I think that's instead of, you know, going on Twitter and thinking, not thinking it was going to be this kumbaya kind of like whatever, but it should have been a moment of celebration in a way. As wrestling fans, as people that, you know, and just to see that there was that instant cynicism, it's like, it's scary then. It's scary because it's you know, people always say, oh, people just need to be happier. And then you look at their Twitter feed and it was like, this sucks, I hated all of this, and this is like, it's just negative this, negative that, accidental porn like, and negative this.
Oh, man. I got a couple things I want to run through really quick before I let you go. Obviously, we talked about the Elimination Chamber, which is cool. I have a couple other topics I want to hit on really quick, kind of like a little rapid-fire thing. The coach is back on commentary on Raw. Do you like it or not?
Yeah, I'm cool with it. Yeah, and because I like Booker T, and he needed to get out of there so I could keep liking Booker T.
There's a phrase in broadcasting called flipping. Flipping, not flipping a coin, but just like in general flipping, and it's like 1 second you're having this point, then you go the total 360 the other way around. And that happened a lot with Booker over the last couple months. I don't know if he was just zoning out or he's like, if that's how he really felt at that moment. It's like there were so many twists and turns with Booker's thoughts on the show as it went on. Is insane. Like the only consistent thing was that he hated Jason Jordan. That was it.
See, this is where I think people need to start learning how to watch wrestling, because listen, Booker absolutely started becoming like a flip flopper, like mid match. It became the funniest thing. So you have to start learning how to play a game with that. Remember, I just ran with the angle that people just kept feeding him lines, and he was just saying whatever was said to him. So anything Booker would say, like it was the biggest like rib in the locker room was just them feeding him like incorrect lines the whole time. That was my game with it. That's kind of wild. Because it was either that or my other theory was that he kept falling asleep, and they had to keep waking him up, and he just never remembered what he was talking about, so he couldn't remember if he was supposed to be like babyface or heel that day. So he just kind of just stopped off whatever, and then he fell back asleep. One of the two.
All right. Here we go. This is a yes or no question. Is this the year where Randy Orton possibly finds himself on the pre-show at WrestleMania?
Oh, no. But no.
I'm thinking of scenario.
I don't know. It's like a 30-hour pre-show.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm thinking of scenarios, and the only way I can see him on the main show is if they do a Raw versus SmackDown match, because he's not going to be going in the WWE title match. I don't know. What do? You have Randy Orton take on Baron Corbin? I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that.
Or Kevin Owens?
Orton versus Corbin. Maybe Orton versus Corbin. Maybe Orton versus Rude for the United States Championship.
That wouldn't be bad. I like that idea.
That way. I don't know. Orton versus Corbin sounds good, though.
Yeah. Corbin's been doing some good stuff over the last couple weeks. Like I said, his meltdown during the Rumble match was awesome.
And he's been better. That's what Sam hates it about him. Ultimately, me and the dude were arguing about our love for Corey Graves. It's weird. We're just man crushing it out. And just we're probably like, no, I love him more. So again, we're probably more alike than we are. No, listen. I like to see this growth because he seems like he's finally starting to get a little more comfortable. And it's a little bit. It's a little bit. Week by week by week, and that's important. Sometimes people get too good too quick, and it's not that they got good. It's just they got trendy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like Corbin is coming along where he's learning, he's progressing. Process over outcome, right?
Yeah.
He's progressing. He's progressing as he should to be in the business and be able to make a career out of it. So it's nice seeing the right way being done for him.
I did a little research the other day, and we have about right around 7 weeks before the full force driving home to WrestleMania. So we have the Chamber at the end of February, right? And then we have Fastlane March 11th. So that Raw the next day, the 12th, is where I feel like everything's like all guns blazing during that thing. This is a simple question from me to you as a fan. Do you like knowing what the card is for Mania like a couple months beforehand, or you like it to play out as we reach the final episodes before the show?
I think sometimes a mixture of both is necessary, and actually, yeah, that's my answer. I think you need a nice mixture of both. I think you need some long-form storytelling that even if they don't announce it, you kind of knew it was coming anyway. And I think some, due to injuries and potential, things happen over the course of the year. People get fired, people get hired, people get hot that you didn't expect. People work as hot as what you thought they'd be. I think it's nice to have that wiggle room too, so that in those last 2 months you can piece together some maybe hotter ticket items, and because you know that you're going to bring in big stars, you know that you're going to bring in certain big angles that you've been telling, stories that you've been telling all year long.
Yeah.
So I kind of like, I guess, a blend of both. If I can take that answer, is that acceptable?
Yes. All right, here's another one, and I hate using this word. You know which one I'm going to bring up. If Dean Ambrose did not get hurt, did you feel like we're going to get the Shield against the Balor Club at WrestleMania?
I don't know, because I'm still not convinced that the Balor Club isn't an all-male review. I keep saying it. That's in young guys. You got to make it through Raw. I don't know who Finn Balor is.
Yeah.
I'd like to think
Travolta.
that the Demon is still in there, and maybe he's the leader of the Balor Club, or I don't know. He just comes out smiling all the time, just real smiling, like just loving the adulation, like he just owns the club, and the man is here.
Yeah, I tell you, man, he needs to get that comb over. He's that close from reaching Travolta status.
You know what? I mean, I guess if Ambrose, to answer your question, though, if Ambrose doesn't get injured, I thought that's where they were going with it. But listen, that's only what I think. Don't mean shit. I think it's quite obvious all these years. If you guys think I know anything, you're sadly mistaken. I'm not here for knowledge. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's the direction they were going. But that's the thing, man. Injuries, just like everything else, they need that wiggle room to kind of the what ifs. Even though because they have to have those what if plan. They have to have plan B. You always have to have a plan B.
Mm-hmm. The last one I'll ask you is this. Just speaking from the modern era, I'm not talking about 80s, I'm not talking about the Attitude Era, just the modern era of wrestling. Are there WrestleMania matches that you wanted to see personally that have yet to happen? And which ones would be?
Josh, I would first like to start off by saying fuck you. Only because, youngin', I'm going through a midlife crisis, I'm certain. And when you say there's the golden era, then the 90s, we're talking modern day is in the 2000s. Oh my god, dude, that makes me feel so cool. Right, so modern day Mania matches that I haven't seen, I like dream time matches. Man, it's a stage in my wrestling viewing life that if it makes fans happy or triggers fans into an emotional breakdown on Twitter, I like either side of that. I like seeing the emotion being pulled. I like when you can pull the strings and what the hell is that doll called with the strings? Creepy looking thing that there's a specific name for it. Whatever that's called. You know what I'm talking about there, right?
No, I don't.
Like in the Godfather logo, it's the doll that it has 5 strings, and you make the doll move by pulling the strings up top. It's a certain name for that kind of doll. Obviously I don't collect dolls, so I don't really know, and I'm not like Jeff Dunham. I don't play with puppets. All right, neither here nor there. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I guess whatever really makes fans happy. I mean, is there some people I'd like to see Jericho still wrestle? Sure. Would I love to see Punk come back and wrestle one more match? Yeah, absolutely. I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't mark for that. Is there, I would love to see, Edge come back if that can never happen, there's a lot of stuff that I would love to see, just can't happen, And I hate to say that, but, because in wrestling, anything's possible, but I just feel like the men and women that I would like to see kind of paired up, I don't know if it's possible, even whether it be conflict with the company and the individual or an injury. I don't know. I think it's maybe because I'm not taking the characters as, I don't want to say serious. I'm taking the characters as serious. I'm not playing favorites anymore like I used to.
Yeah.
I enjoy the show versus trying to enjoy just my favorite guy. I'm not saying I don't have like a favorite guy or whatever, but I want to see what makes I love that crowd pop. So like last year at WrestleMania when the Hardy Boys came out, that's a moment. Those are the moments that I want. So regardless of what I love that they were the Hardy Boys and I'm glad to get a title. Some people didn't. But at the end of the day, that moment, so I don't know, man. Like for me, it's weird. I'm an old man guy now where I don't know. I'd have to think about that. By WrestleMania, I'll have an answer for you. How about that?
I'll be honest with you, man. Like you were saying earlier, you kind of lost I played the favorite thing. Like for me, when Punk left, that happened to me. I lost the sense of favoritism, I guess.
Yeah, big time. He was the last true favorite for me. Mm-hmm. I'm still a Rollins guy. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
he, that was the last person I was fanatical about. New Day. I guess still if it's someone I'd like to see in the modern day era. And I hate that I branch off this. Usos. And I said this on your show a couple years ago. I'm going to say it again. Usos versus the Young Bucks. I love tag team wrestling. I love when it's done right. In a perfect world, I'd love to see them two tag teams go together.
Yeah, the Usos got all of tag wrestling on lockdown. Best believe that.
That's what this is on video. We have the graphic clank.
I did think they were saying some inspirational stuff though after the whole lockdown graphics, like when they were talking about how they want issues about dealing with your everyday struggles, and this is not about selling T-shirts.
Loved the promo. I thought was gold. I was so into it. I didn't know what was up with what SmackDown was doing. I thought I was having an acid flashback. I'm serious, man. I didn't know what was going on. I thought, dude, that shit I did in the early 2000s was coming back to haunt me. Yeah. And then I realized, they're just trying out new graphics. Okay.
So boom.
I'm like, not again.
All right, guys, so we're gonna wrap it up right there. A good hour right there to talk a little bit about the Rumble and everything else that's going on. This is gonna be a very interesting time, folks, and I saw this the list that you sent me earlier, and I think it's a point to bring out as we close this out. Not every show leading up to WrestleMania is a go-home show for Mania. I want to throw that out there, guys. Like, I get it that we're in WrestleMania season, and it's important to see what's going to happen at this show. Obviously, it's the biggest show of the year, and you want to see where things are going, but there's shows that we need to get through and roadblocks, as we always do in this world of WrestleMania. I'm looking forward to the Elimination Chamber. The fact that Braun is in an Elimination Chamber, that sells it by itself for me. Braun's just insane.
Josh, to tie it in, it's like I said to you, like every day should be the best of your life, but let's cut the bullshit. That's really the case. We say that to kind of get through the day. Just like they're allowed to have bad shows on the way to WrestleMania, guys. Not everyone's going to be good, but just the fact that we're getting another one, you should enjoy it because you never know when that next show might not be there.
Right.
Philosophical.
Ooh, brother.
Yeah, brother.
Oh man.
And then my next joke, it's gonna be real philosophical. Wait till I go ahead. So when I close out the show, I'm gonna really validate my worth.
Yeah, so Braun's in there. That sells itself. I'm pretty sure it's pretty obvious who will be in the women's elimination chamber match, and that should be a cool one too. And maybe get more high flying stuff in that, and then just Braun just destroys everything in the other chamber match. Like, I saw somebody be like, "Oh, Braun gets eliminated, and he just flips over the chamber."
Can you imagine that? Yeah, in the first 15 rows.
Yeah, this gets absolutely demolished. Oh God! By the way, I do want we weren't talking during that time when they introduced the new graphics. I like the changes they made with the chamber. They look pretty cool, especially with the entrances when you go on the pods and just last year's chamber pay-per-view was really cool, and I thought the new changes to the match made it more interesting.
Yeah, I dig it. And you know what? It's actually isn't it funny how much just like little changes, subtle changes sometimes, Josh, can make something so much better. And I thought Raw this past Sunday, like their new graphics, I thought were tight. Like real tight, real clean. Like you know what I mean? Like the new Raw, like the white and red like backdrop or whatever. Like I thought it was really clean looking.
Yeah, those are really cool. The nice transitional B-roll clips is you want to be insider right there. B-roll. Yeah, I gotta get that B-roll in there. And all the video packages, and we didn't get to see a new intro. It was just like, oh, hey everybody, welcome to Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap that up right there. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's podcast, episode 91. By the way, same year as Nevermind, Nirvana. Yes. Smells Like Teen Spirit. All the great songs, year 1991. Love that album. It's one of my personal favorite albums. Big Nirvana fan. Maybe my favorite song to play for them on the guitar is Heart Shaped Box. That's my favorite song to play for them on the guitar, by the way, Adam. And then Something in the Way is another good one for those that like acoustic songs as well. So, shout out to Nirvana. Rest in peace, Kurt Cobain. So,
the Kings.
And also, by the way, fuck depression as well. Let's throw that out there. Shout out to Mauro Ranallo and everybody that's dealing with depression and everything. And also, rest in peace to Chester. I didn't get to see the Grammys, but I hope they did something for him at least. I don't know.
I didn't get to see it. We have a tape because my daughter wants to watch it, and they watched a couple, parts of it where they were talking, where they were getting really, political about some things that were going on, but I didn't see any of it yet. That was Sam and AJ watching that. I know some people wearing Chester pins and stuff, but I don't know. I know they didn't get nominated for anything, which is a shame because I think in hindsight, 10 years from now, people are going to look back at this last album and realize how good it really, really is.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, if you guys want a song to listen to, just jam out to, listen to Nobody Can Save Me. That's the song for you guys this week, all right? You know what? I'll play that song towards the end of this week's podcast. There you go, guys. Just for you. All right, Punkster, thanks for coming on again. Tell the good brothers and sisters where they can find you if they just want to interact and not stir drama. Talk shit.
Yeah. They can find me on Twitter. That's the only place I'm at Adam Daley 13. I do not have a Facebook, guys. I have an account, but I use it for work and work only. Please don't send me requests on there or anything like that. And there's a reason why my Instagram's on lockdown, so Twitter is the only place that you can find me. Interact with me on there. Just don't bring any weak bullshit, or else I'll just shut you down real quick. No, but listen, Josh, but thank you for having me on, because like I said, guys, I have to be on this week just because I just wanted to talk about some things from a different viewpoint, because I watching my daughter through the night in this pay-per-view, and and we got to stay up through the whole night, to watch in this entirety, and listen, at that age, you always think, man, I'm going to stay up late, but then it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and the eyes start going down, you start getting tired. This girl was not sleeping until this pay-per-view was over, so, we can be angry and jaded or whatever, but, I don't know if my daughter even slept at all that night. Like I said, it was one of those where it was, she was really, really excited about it, so we got to start realizing what WWE is, not necessarily professional wrestling, but what WWE is, and realizing if it is for you or if it's not for you. And Josh, thank you for having me on so that I can kind of hopefully give a different angle, a different lens to look through. And I me just show my work here. Dude, why does the new Miami Heat logo look like the picture they show you in sex ed? It's like, hey, listen, if it looks like this, you should go to the doctor. Like, if it looks like this, go to the doctor. Yeah, that's not normal to go to the doctor.
No, it's not.
What's going on with it? Like, when did the Miami Heat logo get chlamydia? I don't. You know what I mean? It's strange to me.
I did not.
The 80s retro look, which was there's a lot of TVs going on, but that doesn't mean you don't got to give your logo age.
You're right. I didn't make that analogy until you sent me that message earlier, and I just started crying laughing because it's so on point. Like, I was just thinking, like, Glenn Fry and Miami Vice, because the NBA's... Yeah, the NBA's...
Oh, that's absolutely what they're doing.
Yeah, the NBA's doing City Edition jerseys. So they have either throwbacks or just city theme, like, logos and stuff for their jerseys. And hey, folks, get your official Miami Heat chlamydia jerseys. They're on sale right now.
That's slightly won over a giant pile of cocaine. You know what I mean? From Miami. They're like, well, it's good. We don't know if we can use that. Not in today's climate. That might not be a good one.
Right. We're not going to top that, so I hope you guys enjoyed this week's podcast. Make sure you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at NotoriousSJoshi. I'll be back here on Talk next week. We have 8 more episodes not 8. We have, my bad. 9 more episodes to go before we hit the 100 mark. So thank you guys for supporting the show each week. Just do me a favor. I'd like to get your honest thoughts on the show as a whole. Just leave a review on Apple Podcasts and on my YouTube channel. You can subscribe. I changed the name of my YouTube channel to Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast just so you can find everything there. It's more accessible for you guys to go see what I'm doing for the broadcasting work in Bookmark Pro Wrestling Transcriptions.com. I've been having a very busy week in regards to articles. I did 2 New Japan specials during that Rumble week, adding on to TakeOver and Rumble and Raw and SmackDown and all the shows in between. So there's been a lot of articles and play-by-play articles for you guys to go check out. Just bookmark Pro Wrestling Transcriptions.com, and I appreciate it. So for Punkster, my name's Josh. Thank you guys so much for checking out episode 91 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Now you can listen to Nobody Can Save Me by Linkin Park. Remember, you're the director of your life story. Never let anybody impugn your character. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you next week.
This one's called Nobody Can Save Me.
With my demon, I'm hanging off the edge. Storm clouds gather beneath me. Waves break above my head. Head first hallucination. I wanna fall wide awake now. Tell me it's alright. Tell me I'm forgiven. Tonight, nobody can save me now. I'm holding up the line, chasing out the darkness inside. 'Cause nobody can save me. Stared into this illusion for answers yet to come. I chose a false solution. Nobody proved me wrong. No. Head first hallucination. I wanna fall wide awake. Watch the ground giving way now. Tell me it's alright.
So, Ronda, you just appeared on Royal Rumble. You just ran down and took selfies and hugs with the fans. Talk to us about what's going through your head right now.
I really don't know. I don't know how to process this. Or this is like not something that I do every day, and this is very different than fighting. I haven't like walked into anywhere to enjoy the event. I walk into places to enjoy the result, and it was a real pleasure to really be able to soak up and enjoy and savor every single second. And I'm just so incredibly lucky, man. I'm aware of it. I'm very aware of it.
Talk to us about how long this has been a dream for you. How long has this been something that you've wanted to do?
This has been a dream of mine since before I could talk, and when I was trying to say Hulk Hogan, all I could say was Bulgren. This has been a dream of mine since when I started MMA, and I asked Roddy Piper if I could, have his name. And this has been a dream of mine since me and all my girlfriends, all we would do every night is, sit around and watch wrestling together, and that was what bonded us and brought us together. I mean, it was like, no matter how much I try to do other things in my life, this kept following me around, and it's time to take a hint from the universe and go for it.
You mentioned Roddy Piper. Talk to us about what you're wearing today.
Roddy Piper's son Colin was kind enough to fly all the way from Vegas and bring me his jacket to wear tonight. And I want every single time that I'm out here for people to remember him and what he's accomplished. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. I wouldn't have been a UFC at all if it wasn't for him and what I'd learned from him and what I'd used from what I'd seen him do to learn how to promote fights and to get people into it. And I mean, he taught me so much from afar that he makes me realize how much I can affect other people from afar, and I'm a better person because he lived. And I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity to wear this today.
And tonight you got to witness the first ever all-women's Royal Rumble match. Talk to us about watching that.
When I first walked out here, that was all I was thinking, that it used to be that, women would get laughed at of something like this, I've gotten laughed out of gyms, and we've been brushed aside and not taken seriously for so long in combat sports. To walk into this arena and and to see everyone give a standing ovation for the Women's Royal Rumble and how much they were really invested into it. Everyone's thinking about time, and it was just so well accepted by the fans. It wasn't something forced on them. It was something demanded by them, and it's beautiful to actually watch it all happen. The things that I wished could happen when I was a little kid. I didn't even know that there were women wrestlers when I was a little kid. I thought it was just Hulk Hogan and that's it. And I want to make sure that there is not another generation after me that isn't aware that there's women wrestlers when they're little.
Well, you walked out here as a surprise at the Royal Rumble. Without saying anything, you pointed to that WrestleMania sign. What does that mean for Ronda Rousey in WWE?
I think that's a pretty big fat hint that I'm going to be at WrestleMania. Yeah.
Congratulations on the debut, and welcome to WWE.
Thank you. Thank you.